Howdy, howdy. Welcome back. Time to do our first app. So last time was all about getting the tools installed. We got the tools now. That's great. Now it's time to actually write some code. The app that we're going to make is a pretty simple app. It's kind of meant to start things off in kind of a light, fun way. Usually in apps we build, we'll really worry about the user interface, like the look of the app and things like that one. But this one was kind of our one free pass, right? So it's going to look terrible, and that's fine. We're just going to learn about the tools a little bit, how data binding works with Angular, how Firebase saves data, things like that. The app we're going to build is called Favorite Things. So you can go to this URL. Oh, by the way, the slide that I'm on here, you can get there from the link above. You can also get there from the calendar page, whatever your quarter's calendar page is, and we'll make sure the links are available in there. But this doc, all it is just a description of what we're going to be making. So we're going to be making favorite things. So the idea of favorite things, you actually saw it in the last video, is that it just lets you set your favorite color and your favorite number. And the idea is that these things are not just saved in this web app, but it's actually saved in the cloud so that other people can share the same data, right? So if I were to open up two of these pages and then I were to change it in one, you would see that it changes in the other right away. And that's because that data is really getting pushed to the cloud. You can actually watch it changing in the cloud in the Firebase console. So this is what you'll do this app, so you don't have to follow along just yet. Find my favorite things app here, and then find the database. And you can see that really the only data that's being saved here is just my favorite color and favorite number. Get everything situated to where you can see it here. And so as I set my favorite number, it changes it on the back end. As I change my favorite number, it changes it on the back end as well. So that's the app that we're going to be making, and the idea is that we'll build it together. So there's really no slides for the implementation. You just have to follow along and just kind of do the same things that I do. If there are links that you need, I'll put it in the slides. So it says during implementation, you'll need this link. So that's probably a link that I'll need during implementation. And at the appropriate time, I'll also put that above the video when you get to that appropriate video. So I guess without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started. So things start with the command line. And so what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to decide where your files are going to be saved at. So I've kind of got my install test here, and then you can see I did a prep of this. So this is where my files are going to go. And so what I've got to do is I've got to set up a location for my Git repository. Again, you can use GitHub or you can use Ada. I like to use Ada just because it's internal to Rules-Holman. And for the sake of my organization, I do put them into an organization, which admittedly I'm not sharing that organization with anyone. It's just to keep my stuff organized for me. So what you need to do, regardless of what tool you use, you need to make a new repository called Favorite Things. My style is to use spinal case. That way I can identify it and make it different from the Angular folder. So I'm going to make this new project, and this is just learning about Angular and Firebase with a simple app, right? And then whether you make this thing public or private doesn't really matter to me at all, but you just go ahead and click Create Project. And now with Ada, I have to copy this URL to my clipboard, and then I go over to my folder where I want it to go, and I say git clone, and then I paste that repository URL. It always tells me I've cloned an empty repository. Yes, I did. And I cd into that repository, so favorite things, and I can see that it's blank. And then right here is where I will type ng new favorite things, and you can see that I choose to do this one class case, and it starts doing its little initial import. While that's going, what I typically do is I go prepare it for Firebase. So I'll go over to my Firebase console, so console.firebase.google.com. You should have at least one project in here. You should have the default one, which is what you used. I've got so many I can't even find the default one. Oh, there it is. But now you're going to create a new project. So say add new project. And this one's going to be your username, favorite things. And you can click on create. I've already got one called favorite things, so I'm going to actually hit cancel, but you should of course hit create. If I go to my Fisher.ds favorite things that I've made, the first thing that you want to do is you want to go to your database and go look at the rules. You can see that I've got some data in here for my example. I'm going to clean that out. So you need to go into database and click on rules. And what you need to do is you need to edit these rules. And so I think by default it says like auth not equal to null or something like that. That is a very reasonable rule, and so it should have that for both the read and the write. So that's what yours looks like by default. The problem with that is it won't let you save any data unless you're authenticated, which means you've done a sign-in. That is a good default, but this app doesn't use authentication. And so you simply wouldn't be able to put any data in if you did that. So we're just going to say true and true. And you should have that true and true for this new app you made called Fisher.ds Favorite Things. You should also have it for your default app. So both should be saying true and true. We're going to actually be using both of those apps. I'll tell you what, I'm going to wipe out the data in this one as well. And so just make sure that those rules are set up. And by now I've surely talked for long enough that my npm new has finished. Once it finishes, you can see that there's a new folder for you called Favorite Things. So you need to cd into the Favorite Things folder. And then the first thing you want to do is you want to ng serve. And so that ng serve, I just leave it running, right? So it just kind of is always going in the background. Oops, mine yelled at me. It looks like I was still serving in another terminal window. Let me kill that other terminal window and try again. And so it's going to just be serving the local app, and I just leave it running in the background, and it just auto refreshes and things like that. It's really slick. And what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to open up a tab in Chrome to localhost 4200, and it should say AppWorks. And then the thing that I always do is I fire up a console. You can leave the console either on the side or at the bottom, just whichever works best for your screen size, whatever you're doing. But I do recommend you always have that console up. I need to figure out how to hide this area with 6 boxes. It's taking up a lot of space. And that's all it was. You click that button, now it goes away. Excellent. And so if something crashes, it will tell me in here. So I just want to always have that console log up. All right, so now we're ready to open it in Visual Code Studio. So if you open up Visual Code Studio, you might have a project that's already open in here from your default. But now what I want to do is I want to click on File, Open, and I want to go over to my Favorite Things, and I want to open up my Favorite Things, the class case style, my Angular folder. So now I'm into my Angular folder. The first thing you notice is that I've got 29 files that need to be committed. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do that commit. So I'm going to say ng new favorite things. And eventually I'll stop doing these steps with you just because they're always the same. I'm going to say push to my origin branch, and it does the push. Now it's actually backed up in the cloud. The first thing I want to do is actually going to be the same thing that I did last time. I'm just going to make sure that things are happy, right? So I'm just going to put in my name. I'm going to say save. I put that into source app, the app component TS where it says AppWorks. I just changed it to my name, and you can see that it successfully says my name, which is great. Now let's get started with favorite things. The first thing I want to do is I just want to tell you a little bit more about TypeScript. And TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript. And the way TypeScript works is variables, instead of just being like point at anything you want variables, they are actually have a type associated with them. The syntax is a little bit different from some other languages. You put the type after the name for the variable. So here you'd say : string. So this is just identifying this as a string variable. It turns out that this example is kind of a terrible example because you can actually infer the variable type because this is so trivial of a declaration. So it knows that it's a string. So you actually didn't even need to say that it was a string. It knew that it was a string. So go ahead and change that string to say favorite things, and it should pop up over here. And then my linter is going to yell at me about saying that it's a string when it's obviously a string, but I'm going to just leave that and I'm going to let my linter fix that for me. So this is your TS file, stands for TypeScript. The TypeScript gets transpiled into JavaScript, but it makes your coding life a lot easier, the fact that it is TypeScript. Other files in here, just to point out what's what. The .spec file is a unit test. We're not going to really be covering unit tests in this class, so a running joke is going to be that I'm going to always delete my spec files. The way you delete them is, well, you can right-click on them and say delete, or you can hit on a Mac, it's Command Delete. And are you sure you want to delete this? And yes, I do. I'm going to delete a lot of spec files in this class, so just kind of expect that. So a little bit more about how an Angular app is structured. An Angular app has an index.html. That's where things like start off. So here it says favorite things, and you can see that if you bring this down, you can see it says favorite things with no space in it. If you wanted to fix your title in your tab, you just put a space right into the index.html file, and you can see that it updates that. The other thing you'll notice is that my icon is currently a Rolls Holman R, but if I do a hard refresh, actually maybe I need to kill the tab and then reopen it, and then do a hard refresh, it'll go over to the Angular A. The way that I do it is I like for it to have the Rolls Holman R. So what I do is I just go grab the Rolls Holman R. So the Rolls Holman R, you can just get from the Rolls Holman website, right? So if you go to www, you do have to type the www.rollsholman.edu/favicon.ico. Here is the Rolls Holman favicon. And you can actually just do a save image as. And what you can do is you can actually just put it into the right spot. And the right spot is into your favorite things folder, source, favicon, and you replace it. And then at that point, it's now been replaced. Chrome will take a while to acknowledge the change. So there I had to hold down Shift and reload the page. On Windows, it's something slightly different. It's something to get a hard refresh, and then you'll get your icon in. Cool, so there's favorite things. So things are going good. The index file loads in your app root. Your app root, you can worry about the under the hood things, but it loads your app component is kind of where things go. So right here, it is doing an H1 for title, and title is a variable that's in the TypeScript. So this mustache is a type of data binding. You could just also type things in here. So if you just said hello class and hit save, you can see it just pops up with a hello class over there. So we're going to slowly get better at these things. So the first thing you'll notice is that this data binding mustache basically means print this expression. And this expression is going to be something that is something you could write in TypeScript, right? So it's kind of like print the title. Let's go ahead and add a little bit more to this HTML file. We're going to add an HR, which is just like a line, and then we're going to add an H2 that says favorite color. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy that and paste it on one more time. I went ahead and put an HR after it as well. And then after favorite color is going to be favorite number. And then there's of course going to be stuff in here for the favorite color area, and then stuff in here for the favorite number area. And as soon as you save it up, you can see that those things go ahead and get loaded. So let's go ahead and get started with the favorite color. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and take a break for the videos, and we'll just put the favorite color stuff in the next video. So I'll see you next time where we start filling in the inside of favorite color. See you then.